There's something about minimal watches that offer a certain serenity or peacefulness. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love a complex design as much as the other guy, with lines and chamfered edges and plenty of lume, actually a lot of lume and transitions and so on. But unlike me, some people just want a watch that simply tells time with no fuss. And added to that, also a watch that has a certain meaning behind it somehow. Well, that's even better. Today I have a watch that I believe is the perfect combination of all those elements. Today we'll take a look at a watch that was designed by a fellow Irishman. When I say, I mean he lives in the same country, because I'm not Irish. But all joking aside, in today's video we'll be taking a look at a micro brand, well, new micro brand called Burnt Watches. I know, it sounds cool, right? This is the brainchild of a man named John, who shares the same mad passion as I do about watches and has studied product design and wanted to combine that product design or that hobby or studies with this mad hobby. Currently, this watch is live on Kickstarter with a few days left, and it's starting from 265 euros on the super early bird, going all the way up to 285 full price. Link down below next that like and subscribe button. Also, I should mention on the website, if you check them, everything linked down below, also with the Kickstarter campaign and everything, they do sell t-shirts. So if you want to check them out, have a look. The whole industrial approach is inspired from John's attraction to funkier designs, combining industrial architecture and, in this case, nature. All of this being said, in my eyes, this watch comes with a bit of a disclaimer, because it may not look like it, but every single element, although not that many judging by the design, has a bit of a backstory to it. And you need to read the entire Kickstarter campaign to understand everything. Otherwise, it's just another watch with a minimalistic design. Let's take a closer look anyway at what we have here. So starting off with the dimensions, we have a case diameter of 44 millimeters, a lug to lug also of 44, big case but hidden lugs, have a lug width of 22 and a thickness of only 8.9 millimeters with a flat sapphire crystal. Keep in mind, this is a quartz, which also helps with the thickness. So let's take a step back and analyze all these things a little bit. So right off the bat, these dimensions are on the larger side. And this, again, going to the backstory, is intentional. So to put it in John's word, the watch is meant to be a conversation starter, and it needs to have an element of boldness, but with subtle tones. I do get where he's coming from with this. So it is big, but it has also a minimalistic design that doesn't draw a lot of attention to it. But this means that if you don't like watches on the larger side, this might not be for you. You can see this in action on my lovely 6.3 inch wrist. It's big, but not 44 millimeters big, because those hidden lugs, which, you know, I believe they were a smart choice because they draw attention a little bit, so you don't have extending them out of the case. It does show like the strap gets lost under the watch, which is a cool touch. The case design reminds me a little bit of brown watches. I'll put a picture on the screen for us to compare. Very similar style, also with hidden lugs, although the brown watch is a little bit smaller in size. In terms of construction, we have a two-part 316L stainless steel case with a polished upper and also brushed lower, with a crown at the 3 o'clock position. There's not much to cover here in the finishing part, because there's nothing that stands out, but it also doesn't let you down either, if that makes any sense. The finishing is reflective of the style and the price, but that's pretty much it. There's nothing else on top of that. Also, the design overall doesn't allow much room to add fancy layers of finishing or different transitions. I want to take a few moments to spend some time to talk about the crown, because this is not your conventional looking crown. So according to John, the aim here was to have it stick out rather than hiding in the case. And again, I get that. I love how it has the logo on the sides rather than on the top of it, and you can actually get your nail around to be able to pull it out. That's a very weird statement. But that's where the practicality ends, because the design pretty much sacrifices everything else. It's very difficult to turn because there is no grip at all. That being said, this is a quartz watch, so you don't have to do a lot of winding, or in that case, setting the time. So I think form over function is the motto here. And speaking of form, let's move on to the dial. So this comes in two variants, the ash and the fire. This was again born from John's passion about textures. So what you're seeing on the dial in this example is supposed to be a representation of what is left after a fire, which is obviously ash. I mean, I'm no designer, but unless I would know the story behind this, and again, I always recommend watching the story, my mind wouldn't automatically go to ash when seeing this. But I suppose in a way, this is the angle. This is a form of art. So this is how you appreciate it. I think art in one eye looks very, very different than what it's supposed to be, and so on and so forth. That's very, very deep. Nevertheless, this indeed has the abstract design aura all over it. We have raised hands to accommodate the texture and the burnt logo at the 6 o'clock position. And that's pretty much it. That's it. The X logo was chosen as it represents the intersection of creativity and technology. It also conveys a sense of innovation. So again, this is the vision of a designer that designs a watch to look a certain way in his eyes. I don't think this is meant to please people specifically, as there is nothing traditional about the look. Outside of the texture logo, there is no loom anywhere, so I'm sorry I have to disappoint, guys. No P-loom, and I don't think it actually needs anything given the theme. In terms of movement, we have a Miyota 2026, which is quartz, and also not much to cover here. And just to highlight again, the benefit of using quartz is that it keeps the thickness down. I suppose it would have added to the premium feeling if you would have had an auto movement or a manual wind movement, but then again, this is not the angle that John was going for, and this is just about the design. Also, if you look at it, I think automatics or manual wind movements would have added to the price, and it wouldn't have made it as approachable as it is. That being said, some of you might say that 285 euros for a quartz watch might be a lot. Well, if you look at it this way, this is not an off-the-shelf design, and all these things cost money to produce. And I don't think John is making a lot of money on this if the Kickstarter campaign is successful. So what do I think about burnt watches? Well, this watch, and the Ash specifically, this watch is not your traditional watch, and it will be unfair for me to judge it as such. The watch was designed without any exterior consideration or input, and in the designer's eyes, this makes sense. It's not supposed to please everyone, and I suppose that's the beauty of it. In terms of price, again, $285 might sound like a lot of money, but in today's prices, it actually isn't. Remember, you're not buying a AliExpress brand. So yes, I do believe that from an artistic perspective, this watch is worth it, and it does have its own corner of the market. Now, with that being said, guys, that is my review of the Ash from Burnt Watches. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think about the watch. Click a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't so. Go check out their Kickstarter campaign and the website. Thank you very, very much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.